Welcome everyone. In this video, we are going to be diving into some new updates that I would like to see moving forward into Season 15 of Pokemon Go Battle League. I am super excited. I love healthy speculation and just coming up with new ways to improve upon this game that we all play and enjoy. And that's exactly what I did today. Now, I want to preface this, guys. There are not going to be any nerfs on my wish list or list of updates that I would like to see. I'm not a big fan of nerfs unless they're absolutely necessary on Pokemon that are objectively broken. Now, there are some strong opinions on Pokemon like Noctowl, Lantern, Medicham, Trevenant pops up in that discussion quite a bit. I don't think those Pokemon are in need of a nerf. What I would like to do is add Pokemon to balance those Pokemon out. I don't want to take away, I want to add and improve. The only Pokemon, in my opinion, right now that is objectively broken would be Swampert slash Shadow Swampert. More so Shadow Swampert. Having that Force Cycle is what is making Swampert insanely busted. And that's the only Pokemon that I would advocate for actively nerfing. Now, how you go about doing that, I think the fair way to do that would be to take Mudshot away. That would nerf Swampert without punishing other Pokemon that also have Hydro Cannon and Earthquake. I think that's the fairest way to nerf Swampert. We take Mudshot away. It does still have Water Gun. Does also have access to Mud Slap. Mud Slap's not the best move. Maybe improve upon that move a little bit, but that's the fair and objective way I think would be to nerf Swampert, but it's not even in this list. I don't like nerfs. I'm not a massive fan. I just think it takes away from the game. I want to add to and improve the game. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. There's been a lot of discussion in my Discord on Swampert, how to go about nerfing it. Because again, that's the only Pokemon that I see that is objectively broken. The others, Noctowl, Medi, Lantern, Trevenant, those Pokemon aren't broken, guys. They're just really good. So I'm not going to be nerfing those. That's not what I want to see for them. I want to see Pokemon added into the meta and new Pokemon have more meta relevance. That's my goal with improving upon Season 15. So that's what we're going to see. We're going to start off with new attack changes, and then we'll move on into Pokemon that will get new moves to shake things up a little bit. I want to sort of bring us back a couple of seasons ago when we had the Season of Light. That was the last big, massive move update. I want to get back to those days, guys. The Season of Light. I'll leave a link to that in the description in case you guys want to reference and see what I'm talking about. That was a massive rollout of move updates. I want to get back to that. So that's in the spirit of that. That's sort of what these updates will sort of mirror. And it's not even as many as we had in the Season of Light. That's how awesome that those move updates were. But without further ado, like I said, we're going to start with move changes, attack changes, and then we'll move into the Pokemon that will be getting new moves to shake things up a bit. So without further ado, let's dive right in, guys. And before we get into the move updates, I just wanted to highlight Mystical Fire, as it is pretty common for Niantic to, once they introduce a new move, particularly on a calm day, they do end up giving it to other Pokemon. So we've got Mystical Fire here, and these are some of the Pokemon that can actually learn Mystical Fire in the main series. So I listed the notable ones here that I would like to see get it in Season 15. Starting off with Sylveon. Definitely want to see Sylveon get Mystical Fire. Would give it some nice steel type coverage, which is always very nice to have on a fairy type. Gourgeist can learn it as well. I don't think it sways it either way, but it would be interesting to see on Gourgeist. Gourgeist, the bulkier version of Trevenant, if you will. They both have the same typing, but Gourgeist quite a bit more bulky, doesn't hit quite as hard. So that might be interesting to see, as well as Chandelure. I know, another fire type move for Chandelure to learn, but as we all know, Mystical Fire is an Icy Wind clone, so would give Chandelure an interesting play dynamic, maybe particularly in the Master Premier, maybe, but it could see some play in the Ultra League as well. And both of the Rapidashes, particularly the Galarian Rapidash, holy smokes, can you imagine giving that thing some steel type coverage? Sign me up. Yes, Please, I'll take all of that. And then rounding it out, we've got Magmortar. That would be interesting to see maybe in the Ultra League or the Master Premier. Very interesting to think about with Magmortar. So let's hop in. That's Mystical Fire. Let's hop in to the moves that I would like to see buffed in Season 15 of Pokemon Go Battle League. So guys, here we have 6 moves in total that I want to see get some buffs for Season 15 of Pokemon Go Battle League. First up, we've got Feint Attack. This one will definitely be very nice because a lot of Pokemon actually have this move currently in the game. So if you can imagine, buffing this would also in turn buff the Pokemon that already have it. But we'll have a look at those. All of the Pokemon that already have access to all 6 of these moves. But for Feint Attack, I would like to see it essentially become a Shadow Claw clone. So currently it does 6 base damage and it generates 6 energy. So we're not going to change the base damage, but what we're going to do is add some more energy gain to it, going from 6 to 8, effectively making it a Shadow Claw clone. I think that would be amazing and would be a welcomed addition to Season 15 of Go Battle League. And up next, another dark type fast move, Sucker Punch. Now, not as many Pokemon currently have it right now, but it definitely opens the door for future Pokemon that can also learn Sucker Punch down the line. What I would like to see for Sucker Punch is for it to become a Poison Jab clone. So currently it does 5 damage and generates 7 energy. To make it a Poison Jab clone, we would have to bump up the damage from 5 to 7 and keep the energy gain the same. So 7 and 7 for the buffed Sucker Punch. That would make it a Poison Jab clone, allowing it to apply significantly more fast move pressure. So I think that would be very interesting for Sucker Punch. These 2 dark type fast moves have been in need of some love for a very long time. The only viable dark type fast move that we currently have is Snarl. That's a 3-turn move. Let's buff these 2 2-turn fast moves and really shake things up a bit for Season 15. And up next, we've got Metal Claw. Another move that is in dire need of some updating. So what I would like to see from Metal Claw is for it to become a Quick Attack / Vine Whip / Wing Attack clone. So currently it does 5 base damage and generates 6 energy. What I would like to see is keep the base damage the same and bump up that energy gain to 8, from 6 to 8, effectively making it a Wing Attack / Vine Whip / Quick Attack clone. A lot of Pokemon also have this move, guys, and we're going to see all the Pokemon currently have all 6 of these moves. So Metal Claw buff, make it a Wing Attack clone. Next, we have Air Slash. This one, I can take it or leave it. I'd be fine if they didn't do anything with it, but I think it's in need of some love, to be honest, guys. Air Slash is a pretty underwhelming fast move. It's a 3-turn move. Currently, it does 9 damage and generates 9 energy. So what I would like to see is, I didn't want to quite make it quite as powerful as Dragon Tail, but I didn't want to make it as bad as Smackdown. Not that Smackdown's a bad fast move. It's okay, but I wanted somewhere in between. So to get there, what we have to do is bring the base damage up from 9 to 12. So Dragon Tail does 13, while Smackdown also does 12. But it would be generating more energy than Smackdown and generating the same energy as Dragon Tail. So it's somewhere in between. I think that would mix things up a bit without having copy and paste clones all across the board. So it would be a unique fast move of its own and would boost some Pokemon that do currently already have Air Slash as we speak. So Air Slash somewhere in between Dragon Tail and Smackdown. And up next, this is the one that I absolutely 100% have to see. If I only had to choose one of these 6, this would be the one. Bulldoze. We're buffing Bulldoze, guys, for Season 15 if I had control of everything. What we're going to do to buff Bulldoze is make it a Scald clone. So as it stands, Bulldoze does 80 base damage and it costs 60 energy, making it an absolutely awful move. But we're going to make it better by keeping the base damage the same and lowering the energy cost to 50, while also adding that 30% chance to lower the opponent's attack by 1 stage. that is what will make Bulldoze amazing for Season 15 of Go Battle League. And just like with all of these other moves, so many Pokemon have access to Bulldoze or have the ability to learn Bulldoze. Most notably Vigoroth, guys. This would be a game changer for Vigoroth. So that's my fix for Bulldoze. Make it a Scald clone. And look out, a lot of Pokemon will see some much needed meta relevance if we were to do that. And finally, we make our way to Sandtomb. So right now, Sandtomb, just like Bulldoze, is an absolute awful trash charge move. As it stands right now, it's only doing 25 base damage and it costs 40 energy. So we're going to buff Sandtomb. We're going to keep the guaranteed defense drop on it, but we're just going to bump the damage up significantly from 25 to 55. That effectively makes it a drastically improved version of Mud Bomb. So a lot of Pokemon, not as many, have Sandtomb as they do as they have Bulldoze, but it still opens the door for Pokemon that can also learn Sandtomb later down the line. So we're buffing Sandtomb and Bulldoze. Those are the two I'm most excited to see. Along with Metal Claw, I'm excited for all of them, but I think drastically increasing the damage of Sandtomb would be a massive improvement. So think of it as like an Icy Wind sort of dynamic. It's obviously not an exact clone, but very similar. As Icy Wind, I believe, does 1.33 damage per energy, whereas if we do this buff with Sandtomb, it would bump it up to 1.37. So it would only be slightly better than Icy Wind. And in my opinion, if you're okay with where Icy Wind is at, you're going to be okay with where Sandtomb will be with this buff. So let's have a look at some Pokemon that have access to these moves already. We're gonna start with Feint Attack. So some notable Pokemon that already currently have Feint Attack would be Umbreon, Sableye, Bronzong, that's a massive one, K9, Kanto Ninetales, A9, Alolan Ninetales, Shiftry, Wigglytuff, Dusclops, and Greninja. That's just a few. For the sake of time, we're only going to name the ones that I think would benefit most from Feint Attack buff. And then moving on into Sucker Punch, we've got Trevenant, Galarian Moltres, Kecleon, and Furfrou. Those are the most notable ones that I think would benefit most from a Sucker Punch buff. And then moving on to Metal Claw. This one's massive. There are so many Pokemon that already have Metal Claw, and if we were to buff Metal Claw, would be amazing. So kicking it off, we've got G-Fisk, already has access to Metal Claw right now. Alolan Sandslash. Cobalion has access to it right now. Registeel, that would be interesting to see on Registeel. It would be a hard sell to go from Lock-On to something like Metal Claw, but you never know. Dialga, same thing with Dialga. It has Metal Claw, but might be a hard sell to go from Dragon Breath to Metal Claw, but you never know. Zacian would have to look out if Dialga benefited from a Metal Claw buff. And speaking of Zacian, Zacian also has access to Metal Claw right now. Genesect has access to Metal Claw, Ferrothorn, Empoleon, Berserker, and Metang. So a lot of Pokemon right now would instantly benefit from a Metal Claw buff. And up next, we've got Air Slash. So I think we all know who has Air Slash and who would benefit most, but just as a refresher, we've got Skarmory, obviously probably the most prolific Air Slash user right now. We've got Tropius, Mandibuzz, Togekiss, Crobat, Vullaby, Celesteela, and Bravery. All of those flyers would benefit from an Air Slash buff. And then moving along to Bulldoze, we've got Vigoroth. That's the number one. I want to see it. I want to see a Bulldoze buff so bad. Making it a Skull clone would be amazing, guys. It would lift so many Pokemon off of the fringes of the meta and make them power players in their respective metas. So we've got Vigoroth. Alolan Sandslash has access to it and relies very heavily on it. I think those are the two big ones, Vigoroth and A-Slash. Thera-Informed Landorus could shake things up with Landorus in the Master League. And then we've got Bronzong. That's another interesting one. Bronzong also benefits from Feint Attack. So buffing it, giving it a good fast move along with an amazing charge move, look out, we've got another player in the Great League. So Bronzong, very interesting. That's one that really caught my eye. Credeli also has Bulldoze. Imagine how effective Credeli could be with a buffed Bulldoze. Both of the swines, so Piloswine and Mamoswine, as we all know, already had Bulldoze, but we now use high horsepower on them. With the Bulldoze buff, we may go back to Bulldoze on those two. You never know. And then Celesteela would be very interesting. It currently has access to Bulldoze right now. And some Pokemon that have Sand Tomb would be Gliscor. That's probably the most prominent. Probably see a lot of people go from Earthquake to Sand Tomb. Very interesting to see on Gliscor for sure. Runerigus is also the most prominent Sand Tomber in the game right now. Of course, we know Garchomp has Sand Tomb. That might shake things up with Garchomp in the Master Premier and Master League. Fortress would also benefit from a Sand Tomb buff, along with Nidoking and perhaps Torterra. We'll have to see. We'll have to work on Torterra's fast move first, though, but it's a start for sure. So those are the moves that I would buff, and these are the Pokemon that would all benefit right now. They're all in the game right now, and they all currently have each of these moves respectively. So very interesting. That's a very long list of Pokemon that could see some better relevance or some increased play in Pokemon Go Battle League. All right, guys, so we're starting off with these 4 Pokemon. So these are Pokemon that I would like to see get the newly buffed Bulldoze, Metal Claw, and Sand Tomb respectively. We just can't, we're going to be looking at PvPoke on the others, but we just can't really sim these and look at these as I have them in, as I've detailed about them. So I want to see Walrein get Bulldoze, the newly updated Bulldoze, reflecting my updates, and that being a Scald clone. I want to see Walrein and Sealeo get Bulldoze. Now, Walrein, I want that for the Great League. I think in the Ultra League, it'll do just fine with its standard Earthquake, but with Bulldoze, being able to get to that faster, I believe, and this is speculation, but I look at I look at the stats enough to make a healthy guess that it will be doing a lot better up against Lantern, and we'll see a lot more meta relevance. And the same goes for Sealeo. To a lesser extent, it doesn't have the Weather Ball for Knockdown, but it still has Body Slam and could still apply that fast move pressure while still being able to hit Lantern. We are zeroing in on that Knockdown Lantern core. So Walrein, Bulldoze, particularly for the Great League, I think it'll still do just fine with Earthquake in the Ultra League. In fact, I think you might want that, but we'll see. So I want to see those two get Bulldoze. They can learn it in the main series. And we've got Aggron, particularly for the Ultra League. I want to see this thing get Metal Claw. Lairon also already knows Metal Claw, so with that buffed Metal Claw, I want to see it get the buffed Sand Tomb. But I want to see Aggron get Metal Claw plus the buffed Sand Tomb. I think that would give it a lot more dynamic play. Maybe in the Great League, maybe in some specialty metas. I think the Open Great League's still a bit water heavy for Aggron, but some specialty metas might be very interesting. But particularly for the Ultra League and Ultra Premier, I want to see this thing get the buffed Metal Claw along with the buffed Sand Tomb, as I have outlined previously. But yeah, I can't sim these on PvPoke. There might be a way. If one of you guys out there know, let me know in the comments if you can adjust moves that are already in PvPoke. But as far as I know, you can't really do that. So I just wanted to highlight these before we actually hop over to PvPoke and start looking at some of the others. But yes, Walrein and Sealeo, the newly buffed Bulldoze, which would be a Scald clone, as I've outlined. Aggron with the newly buffed Sand Tomb, which would be a vastly improved version of Mud Bomb. Still lowering that defense, but doing much more damage, which I think is very much necessary for that move. As well as Lairon picking up the newly buffed Sand Tomb as well. So I wanted to highlight those real quick. Now let's dive into the PvPoke side for the other Pokemon. So now let's have a look at some Pokemon that I would like to see get some much needed move updates. And we are kicking it off with Diggersby. Diggersby, I want to see either get access to Body Slam or Rock Slide. It can learn both of these in the mainline games. So let's have a look at Diggersby real quick. We're on PvPoke here. And we're going to just compare Diggersby as it is now to what Diggersby would be with both Body Slam and Rock Slide. So we're going to start off with Body Slam here. add that into its move pool, and we're going to do one for Rock Slide Diggersby here. I'm going to replace Fire Punch with Rock Slide for this one. And so this is how you do this, guys, in case you didn't know. If you want to look at these, so you just go to the matrix here in the top right to the top far right. You see matrix is highlighted. You put in your Pokemon, and it is on the Great League, so we will put the Great League meta in here. And I always like to start off looking at the 2 shield. We'll also look at the 1 shield as well. So this is Diggersby with potentially with Body Slam or Rock Slide. So as we can see here, at the bottom, let's scroll all the way to the right real quick just to see its win rate overall. So right now it's sitting at in the 2s against the Great League meta. Not doing so hot as we can see. It's losing more than it's winning right now with Fire Punch and Earthquake. But if we add Body Slam or Rock Slide, we see that goes up quite a bit, and now it's doing a lot better. So it goes from 451.05, and it bumps up to 529 for Body Slam and 503. So doing a lot better with these 2 moves. So let's see what it picks up here at the bottom. So we've got Diggersby with Fire Punch and Earthquake at the very top, and that's the very dark gray, almost black color. And then we have the 2 changes at the bottom. So in the middle, we've got Body Slam here. With Body Slam in the 2s, we are picking up Azumarill, picking up Deoxys, picking up Mandibuzz, and Noctowl. That's huge, guys. What I want to do, my goal for Season 15, is to bring some worthy challengers to the very powerful Noctowl Lantern core. So as I mentioned, rather than nerf those 2 Pokemon and make them irrelevant, let's keep them good, but let's add some more players into the meta, guys. So giving Diggersby Body Slam, we are now beating Noctowl in the 2s, which is amazing. And I know it beats Noctowl with Quick Attack in the 2s, but then that hurts it up against the Steel types. So I think this is a nice compromise, giving it Body Slam. And if you're worried about if it might be too spammy, Diggersby doesn't hit very hard, so that balances out. We're the ones that I'm most excited for picking up are Azu, because team building for Diggersby was a nightmare, knowing that Azus are in the meta. And we're picking up Mandibuzz and Noctowl. That's huge, guys. Also Deoxys, which is worth noting. And if we look at Rock Slide, we lose... and I also wanted to mention a downside to going Body Slam on Diggersby is we lose that Trevenant matchup and the Skarmory matchup. So if we take Fire Punch away, we're losing Skarmory altogether. And if we add Body Slam, we're losing Trevenant, which is a bummer, but I think Trevenant usage has dropped significantly with the introduction of Noctowl. So I think that's a nice compromise. And then if we look at Rock Slide, we lose Azu, but we pick up Jellicent. And we keep Mandibuzz and Noctowl, and we get Trevenant back. So Rock Slide is very interesting as well. And it can learn these in the mainline series, so that means that it can absolutely learn either of these in Pokemon Go Battle League. So those are the 2s. Very interesting. Much improved on Diggersby. Now let's look at the 1s here. And as we can see, the battle rating, again, as it stands, not great in the 1s either. But in the 2s, it is quite improved, especially with Rock Slide. Rock Slide is better overall in the 1s for Diggersby. I'll take either one, to be honest. So let's look at what it picks up here. In the 1s, it's picking up Shadow Charizard. Amazing. That thing is an absolute monster. It's keeping Mandibuzz and Noctowl, and it's picking up Scrafty, which is very interesting. We still miss out on Skarmory and Trev, but, you know, I'll take that. I'll take that as a compromise. If we were to add Body Slam. And picking up Scrafty is very surprising to see, but we keep Noctowl and Mandibuzz in the 1s, and we pick up Shadow Charizard with Body Slam. With Rock Slide, we absolutely destroy Charizard, as we can imagine. Still keeping Jellicent in the 1s, still keeping Mandibuzz and Noctowl in the 1s as well. So both of these moves, in my opinion, are very much nice and welcomed, and let me know in the comments which one of these 2 that you think would be best for Diggersby moving forward. So that is Diggersby. Let's move on to the next Pokemon. All right, up next, we've got Toxapex. And for Toxapex, we are looking at either adding Scald or Icy Wind. Now, Toxapex is probably the Pokemon on this list that is in the least need of an update. But I want to see Toxapex, as good as it is now, it's decent now. I want to see it become a lot better and become much more of a player in the Open Great League. So we're looking at Scald, and of course they could just buff Brine. Brine right now does the same base damage as Scald. It's just costs more energy. Brine right now 60 energy, Scald is 50. So we've got it here in the Matrix. We've got Toxapex as it is now, and we have it with Scald, Sludge Wave, along with Icy Wind and Sludge Wave. So let's have a look here. I'm going to start out in the 2s. Let's look at Toxapex with these updates, guys. So right now, if we look to the far right here on the sliding grid, it's already doing decent. It's doing okay. It's relatively balanced. But as we can see, it bumps up quite a bit if we were to just simply add Scald into its move pool, which it can learn in the mainline series. It can also learn Icy Wind in the mainline series, and as we can see, it goes up significantly, maybe venturing into broken territory. But what I really want to do is dominate Noctowl even further, as well as pick up Altaria. That was my thought process with Icy Wind. Let's just have a look at what it picks up here with these two newly added moves. And we're picking one, guys. We're not adding 2 moves to each of these Pokemon, so one or the other. So looking at Scald here, we are picking up Basti, which I think is massive. I think that's very important. At the end of the day, we are a water type. There's no reason why we should be losing to Bastiodon. Picking that up with Scald, I think, is massive. We also pick up Pelipper, which is very interesting. I'll take that, as well as Skarmory. So we're picking up a couple of steel types with Scald. And if we look at Icy Wind, I'll be the first to admit it might be a little bit broken. Might be venturing into broken territory. But it doesn't hit very hard. So with Icy Wind, we pick up Altaria, which was my goal. We dominate Noctowl even more. So if we look up top here, I'm going to scroll over to Noctowl. And this is the 2s. So with Noctowl, we're already beating it pretty handedly. Not much changes if we add Scald, but if we add Icy Wind, it's just total domination. So as it stands, Noctowl with a bit of an energy lead, quite a bit of an energy lead, will beat Toxapex. But if we add Icy Wind, there's no hope of Noctowl beating Toxapex. So it's just further domination. And if we look at Lantern, so we already dominate Water Gun Lantern. But we lose to it with, as it stands now, we still lose to it with Scald. But with Icy Wind, we actually beat Lantern. Can you believe that with Spark? That's insane. That's why it might be venturing into broken territory. But hey, if we can address that Noctowl Lantern core, I'm all for it. Let's try it. Let's see. And that's not to say it still doesn't have counters. Still losing Diggersby. We still lose to Stunfisk, as we can see. We still lose to Registeel. And if we scroll over to Stunfisk, we're still losing the Stunfisk and Swampert. So we still have checks to it in the meta with either one of these updated moves. But if we look at the very bottom here, we looked at Scald. Let's look at Icy Wind. We pick up Altaria, which was my goal with Icy Wind. The fact that we're picking up Frostlass and Jellicent does concern me a little bit. I don't think we should be beating Ghost types, let alone Ghost Ice, Ice Ghost, and Ghost Water for Jellicent and Frostlass respectively. That's where it might be venturing into broken territory a little bit. I don't think we should be beating those with all resisted damage. So, that might be a bit of a concern. We do pick up Cofagrigus, which not a big deal. Picking up Sableye, as well as Walrein. That's another one. I don't know if we should be beating Walrein, but we do with Icy Wind. So that one, I would like to see, but I'll be the first to admit that it might be venturing into broken territory. Let me know, guys, what you think in the comments. Would you like to see Toxapex with Icy Wind? Let me know. But I think Scald for sure is something that we should absolutely see on it. So that is Toxapex. Those were my thoughts on updating Toxapex. Elevating it. It's okay now. It's pretty good. It's winning slightly more than it's losing. But I think either one of these moves will set it over the edge and really make it much more of a power player in the Open Great League. So that's Toxapex. Let's have a look at the next Pokemon. All right, my friends, moving right along. Up next, we've got Wiscash receiving some much needed love by getting Icy Wind. Let's make this happen. I'm telling you, give Wiscash Icy Wind, look out. It's already amazing, or I should say it already has an amazing stat product for the Open Great League, but it's just being held back by having such a massive nuke move with Blizzard to hit those flyers and grass types. We take Blizzard away, or we won't take it away. We'll leave it, but we'll throw Icy Wind into the mix for Wiscash, and yeah, now we're talking. Now, not only do we beat Lantern, but we also beat Noctowl. Again, that's the theme of this video, guys. Break up that, or not break up, but give us some worthy challengers to that very powerful Noctowl Lantern core. So we've got it plugged in here. Let's look at the twos first for Wiscash. And we'll scroll all the way to the right here. And look at that, guys. Wiscash not doing so great, as we all know. At its very best, it is a specialty cup type of Pokemon. At its very best. But we throw Icy Wind into the mix, and we've got another meta-relevant Pokemon in the Open Great League. That's what I'm talking about, guys. We go all the way from a 466 battle rating right on up to 550. That is amazing. So we need to make this happen for a Wiscash Icy Wind. We need it like right now to shake things up a bit for Season 15. So if we look at the bottom here, we've got Wiscash as it stands now at the top in the very dark gray. And then beneath that, we've got what it picks up with Icy Wind. So we're picking up Cofagrigus in the twos, picking up Diggersby in the twos, Mandibuzz and Noctowl, which is very important. We're picking up Noctowl, as well as Skarmory, Shadow Swampert, and Talonflame to a much lesser extent. So those are the twos. And we've got some decent grass coverage. We're not, by no means are we broken. We're not dominating grass types. That would be absolutely absurd and insane. But we've got some coverage on them if necessary. We can threaten them and at the very least pressure a shield on those grass types. So I think this is very fitting. It can learn it in the mainline series, that being Icy Wind. Let's have a quick peek at the ones here with Icy Wind Wiscash. Scroll all the way to the right here and see. And yeah, we're still doing very good in the ones with Icy Wind. Let's look at the bottom. We're still maintaining Mandibuzz and Noctowl. We pick up Sableye and Umbreon, and we still keep Shadow Swampert, and we drop Cofagrigus with Icy Wind in the ones. So it's not broken by any means, but it's now more meta relevant with Icy Wind. Like I said, it can learn it in the mainline series. Let's make this happen for Wiscash in Season 15. This one I'm super pumped and would really like to see. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of a Icy Wind Wiscash in Season 15 and moving forward in Pokemon Go Battle League. It will lift it up from the fringes of the meta and catapult it to being very much meta relevant. I think we need to make this happen. So that's Wiscash with Icy Wind. Let's make it happen, and let's have a look at the next Pokemon. All right, up next, we've got none other than good old Azumarill. Getting some love. This thing has been the exact same Pokemon from the very beginning of Pokemon Go Battle League. I've been saying for years, let's give this thing a better water type charge move, guys. There's no reason why we should be struggling against G-Fisk or Bastiodon as a water type. Now, I know a lot of you are probably rolling your eyes and saying, really? You want to buff Azu? Yeah, I do. I want to reliably beat Bastiodon and Stunfisk. And by doing so, we can do that with the addition of Scald, a much more energy efficient water type charge move with stab coming from Azu. I think that would be very much welcomed. It can also learn Mud Shot, so giving it a better fast move, not better, but a faster fast move, low energy, low damage, high energy gain like Mud Shot would shake things up a bit, enliven things up a bit for Azumarill in the Great League. So let's have a closer look. We've got it all plugged in here. We've got Azu as it stands now, Azu with Ice Beam plus Scald, Azu with Play Rough plus Scald, and then we've got at the bottom Mud Shot, Ice Beam, Play Rough. So like I said, when we have multiple moves here, we're choosing one or the other. We're not adding 2 additional moves as an update. So we've got that plugged in. We've got the 2s here. Let's have a look at Azu with these potential new moves here. Let's scroll all the way to the right and see how it stacks up. So these are the 2s. In the 2s, as it stands right now, not doing so hot. It's losing more than it's winning, and that's a little sad for a good old Azumarill. It's definitely needs to update with the times here a little bit, in my opinion. But if we add Scald, as we can see in the middle, and the 2s, we go up significantly. We're now winning more than we're losing with Azu. And Mud Shot in the 2s, doing better than it would be now. That would make it much more of a specialist, and we'll have a look at that at the bottom here. So let's dive into Scald first. Let's see these Scald, what we pick up with Scald. With Ice Beam Scald, we're picking up Bastiodon. That's what I want to do, guys. There's no reason why we should be losing to Bastiodon in the 2s as a water type being Azumarill, guys. That's absurd. So with Scald, we're now reliably beating Bastiodon, which is amazing. We beat Deoxys. Very interesting. Deoxys for a long time has been a very good Azu counter. So now we will be beating Deoxys with Scald, Ice Beam, still beating, now it's a lot more dominant for Azu up against Sableye. Before Sableye could edge that out up against Azu in the 2s, it is very much bait dependent, but we now reliably beat it with Scald. Same goes for Skarmory and Stunfisk. Again, we should not be losing the rock types or ground types as a water type with Azu. So we dominate Stunfisk in the 2s now with Scald. Same goes for Skarmory and Walrein. We now reliably beat Walrein a lot more. So with Play Rough Scald, we're still maintaining the same matchups. Not a whole lot really changes. It's just a matter of what type of feel you want with Azu. And then at the bottom, with Mud Shot and the conventional Play Rough Ice Beam, we're now picking up Drapion with Sludge Bomb. So that's very interesting. Picking up Jellicent. So as you can imagine, with Mud Shot, it's going to be have a lot more different of a feel to it than it does with Bubble Beam. So slow right now with that 3-turn Bubble Beam move. You lose the stab, but you get much more charge move pressure with Mud Shot. We're now reliably beating Pelipper as well. We're maintaining Swampert, and we are still beating Walrein. So let's look at Noctowl here. In the 2s, we still lose to Noctowl, so that keeps Azu relatively balanced. We still lose to the Owl in the 2s, and we are still losing the Lantern in the 2s. So let's have a look at the 1s here. This, I think, is what really will set Azu over the edge. I'm going to scroll all the way to the right and see how that changes. As you can see, in the 1s, things change quite a bit. A lot more consistent for Azu, even with Mud Shot. So if you can recall, in the 2s, we were doing better than we were with Mud Shot, but still losing more than we were winning. So now in the 1s, with Mud Shot, we are now consistently winning more than we are losing, right around 500. And that's good. That's what you want to see. That's a decent Pokemon in Pokemon Go Battle League. If you're 500 If you're slightly higher than 500, you're really good. If you're way over 500, you're venturing into broken territory, but that's not the case here. So in the ones, we're doing a lot better. Let's scroll over to Noctowl and see how we do against Noctowl in the ones with these potential updates. Look at that, guys. Look at Noctowl in the very middle here. We go from losing the Noctowl in the ones to consistently beating Noctowl with either one of these changes, with either Scald or Mudshot added to it. That's amazing. That's what we want. We want more pressure on the Owl, and we want more pressure on Lantern. We only pick up Lantern if we add Mudshot into the mix. So either one of these updates would be amazing for Azumarill. Let's look at the bottom here. So in the ones, we are dropping the Mirror with Scald up against a conventional Azu. We're dropping Charm, Alolan Ninetales, and we're dropping Shadow Swampert and Shadow Walrein. We're still maintaining Bastiodon, picking up Medicham in the ones. That's amazing. We should be beating a fighter in the ones. We are picking up Noctowl, Vigoroth, and Deoxys with Ice Beam Scald. With Play Rough Scald, we are still maintaining Bastiodon, which is very interesting. That's what we want to see. And if you're wondering where G-Fisk is, in the ones, we always beat G-Fisk. So if we scroll over to Stunfisk, ironically, we lose to it with Mudshot, but I guess we're missing out on that super effective stab fast move pressure. But with Scald, Ice Beam, or Scald Play Rough, we still beat Stunfisk reliably in the ones. So that's where Stunfisk went. But in the ones with Play Rough Scald, we are beating Medicham, Bastiodon, Noctowl, Vigoroth, Deoxys. I will take that all day. And with Mudshot in the ones, we lose quite a bit. We drop quite a few matchups. We drop Shadow Charizard with Mudshot. We drop Charm A9. We drop G-Fisk, which is very interesting to see. Shadow Swampert. So Mudshot would be an interesting alternative. And with Play Rough Scald, slightly above that, we are still maintaining some dominance where we need it. So that's Azu. Those are my proposed updates for Azumarill. Yet another answer to more so Noctowl than Lantern. But with Mudshot, I think that changes a little bit. So that's what I would like to see for Azu, either Scald being put into its charge move pool or Mudshot being added as an alternative to Bubble as its fast move. So let me know in the comments which one you guys would think would be best on Azu, and let's have a look at the next Pokemon. All right, up next, we got good old Sableye. Those of you who tune in on the channel regularly know how fond of Sableye I am. And for Sableye, we are looking at some interesting updates. We're looking at Icy Wind on Sableye or Body Slam, both of which it can learn in the mainline series, which means that we can absolutely see it in Pokemon Go Battle League. Sableye is something that we definitely need to update. What we're having a problem with right now in the Open Great League is lack of reliable safe swaps. And if we buff the best safe swap that we've had thus far in Sableye, I think that would bring some much needed balance to the Open Great League. Let me know if you guys agree. So we've got everything plugged in here. We've got Sableye with Icy Wind and Sableye with Body Slam, both of which would replace Return. We've got the twos here. Let's have a look at Sableye. So if we can see to the far right of the sliding grid here, Sableye has seen better days as it stands now, and that's with the introduction of Noctowl into the meta. But if we make either one of these changes, that changes quite a bit for Sableye and makes it much more meta relevant than it was in previous seasons. As you can see, we have significant jumps with either one of these new move updates. Let's have a look at the what we pick up here at the bottom. So with Icy Wind, I'll be the first to admit, guys, this is legitimately arguably broken. Icy Wind on Sableye. But what I really wanted to pick up were, of course, Noctowl. I wanted to give Sableye a better chance up against Noctowl, as well as Altaria. And with Icy Wind, of course, we'll be able to hit all of those flyers as well as have some play up against the grasses. That might be shooting too far for the stars, Icy Wind, but it's something that I would not complain about if it were to happen. So as you can see, we pick up Altaria, Mandibuzz, Noctowl, Pelipper. So those of you who are sick of the flyers in the meta, particularly the Wing Attack users, you shouldn't be complaining about Icy Wind Sableye, I'm telling you. We still maintain all of the same matchups, but we are now reliably beating Stunfisk in the 2s, reliably beating both Shadow and normal Swampert in the 2s. The fact that we beat Umbreon, Venusaur, in the 2s, that's a bit concerning. But, you know, it would be a nice change of pace with Sableye, I will say, for Icy Wind. So those are the Icy Wind pickups, quite a bit. Not gonna lie, it might be broken with Icy Wind, but I would welcome it. I want to see it, at least for a season. Look, we can try it for a season. If it proves to be far too broken and out of balance, we can make some changes then. But for now, I want to see it. Icy Wind on Sableye at least for one season. Let's see it. Let's shake things up a bit. And then at the bottom, we're more grounded and down to earth with Body Slam. That would be much more reasonable, I would say. We still now reliably beat Altaria in the 2s with Body Slam. We're picking up Pelipper, picking up Swampert and Shadow Swampert as well, in addition to Venusaur and both Shadow and non-Shadow Walrein. So that's with Body Slam in the 2s. Let's look at the 1s here. And as you can see, to the far right here of the sliding grid, still doing a lot better in the 1s. So that either one of these new moves would be a better change, much welcomed change for Sableye, the most dominant safe swap that we've had in the Open Great League. We need to bring safe swaps back. So if you see a theme in this video, we're buffing Vigoroth with a potential Bulldoze update, giving Sableye some better tools to adapt to this modern Great League meta. We're bringing safe swaps back, guys. That's what we need. That's what's going to break up this RPS stuff that we've been seeing. So if we look at the bottom here, in the 1s, we're still maintaining Altaria, picking up Azu in the 1s. And that's with Icy Wind we're looking at here. Picking up Pelipper with Icy Wind in the 1s. Skarmory, Swampert. Of course, we always beat... we didn't beat Trevenant in the 1s, so we're now reliably beating Trevenant in the 1s. Umbreon, again, that's the one that's kind of getting me with Icy Wind. The fact that we reliably beat Umbreon in the 1s and 2s with Icy Wind is a little... that caught my eye a little bit, which led me to believe that it might venture in the broken territory a little bit, but it's still something I would like to see. I would like to see it in action. And we're beating Victory Bell now. So previously, we had no shot against Victory Bell. That Shadow Razor Leaf Fast Move Pressure was just too much for little Sableye to bear, but at least in the 1s, we now have a fighting chance up against Shadow Vic. We do drop Lantern in the 1s, so that balances things out a little bit with the Icy Wind potential move update. And now let's look at Body Slam here below that. We're picking up Shadow Charizard in the 1s. Very nice. Shadow Charizard needs to be checked, I believe. Picking up Lantern in the 1s. So that's nice, guys. We're eyeing that Lantern Noctowl core. Registeel, Shadow Swampert, and both Trevenant and Shadow Vic with Body Slam in the 1s. So very interesting. Icy Wind would be nice. That's the one I really kind of want to see. We still lose to Noctowl, even with Icy Wind in the 1s, so it's not completely crazy. It's still relatively balanced. Definitely something I would like to see. But with Body Slam, we are now reliably beating Lantern in the 1s. So very good. That's what I want to see for Sableye. Either one of these I would be happy with. Let me know in the comments which one you guys would be most interested in seeing. Would you rather see Icy Wind or Body Slam as a potential move update for Sableye? Let me know in the comments. That is Sableye. Let's have a look at the next Pokemon. And last but certainly not least, we have Nidoqueen. We want to make Nidoqueen, bring Nidoqueen back to a little bit of prominence, guys. This thing has dropped completely off the map with the Poison Fang nerf. So we want to give it a little bit more meta relevance with the introduction of Shadow Claw into its fast move pool. It would give it a nice little alternative to Poison Jab. It's a very interesting. It nowhere near brings it to God level where it was with Poison Fang before the nerf, particularly the Shadow. But I do think that maybe needed to happen, but it punished a lot of other Pokemon along the way, including Nidoqueen, of course, obviously. So adding Shadow Claw would be very interesting. We're going to have a look at both the Ultra League and the Great League. It'll do a lot better in the Ultra League, if you can imagine, with Giratina and Cresselia. But let's have a quick look at the twos in the Great League with Shadow Claw Nidoqueen. So if we scroll all the way to the right, we're slightly above 500. We're losing one more than we win currently as it stands with Poison Jab. But we get a significant increase in the win rate in the twos if we add Shadow Claw, as we can see there. So let's have a look at what we pick up. Hard to imagine that we were losing to Bastia in the twos. I don't recall that being the case even before the nerf. But we are picking it up with Shadow Claw. Also picking up some ghost types like Cofagrigus, Jellicent, Frostlass. We'll have some play up against those ghost types with Nidoqueen with Shadow Claw. We are now reliably beating Stunfisk in the twos with Nidoqueen. That was never the case. And we've got amazing play. We're picking up Trevenant. We are dropping Shadow Charizard in the twos. Dunsparce, we're dropping Noctowl, which is not good. That's not the goal. We want to maintain Noctowl dominance, but we'll take it. It'll bring Nidoqueen back to some prominence, I believe, as well as dropping Umbreon, of course, obviously with Shadow Claw. Let's have a look at the ones here. For the sake of time, we're going to breeze right through this a little bit here. So not so great in the ones. We're still doing better than we were, but we go to still losing more than we are winning. We're picking up Shadow Charizard in the ones with Shadow Claw, still maintaining all of our Ghost matchups. We're actually picking up Toxapex as well in the ones. Very interesting. And we're maintaining G-Fisk. That is good, and we are maintaining Trevenant. So Shadow Claw would be an amazing improvement for Nidoqueen, in my opinion. Still losing to the normal types, of course, with Shadow Claw. Let's have a quick peek at the Ultra League, because Nidoqueen, I know a lot of you have it built. I know I do, and it's just collecting dust, not being relevant. Let's make that change for Nidoqueen. Give it Shadow Claw. So we've got Ultra League here. Let's have a look at the Ultra League 2s. And we'll scroll all the way to the right. As you can see, we've seen better days as it stands now. And we are doing slightly better with Shadow Claw. So we are picking up the ghost types, of course, that being most notably Giratina. Both versions, both Dragon Breath and Shadow Claw Tina we pick up. That's amazing. If we catch it on the lead in the twos, that'd be great. Picking up Trevenant, Jellicent, and Cresselia. We need some very good answers to all of those, and Nidoqueen with Shadow Claw would solve that problem for us. We, of course, are dropping the normal types with Shadow Claw. That is to be expected, as well as Tapu Fini. So it's kind of a nice side grade, if you will. Just gives some more variety with Nidoqueen. In the ones, which I have entered here, we are doing a lot better in the ones, slightly better than we were before. So a little bit of a better side grade, a slightly higher side grade for Shadow Claw, I think would be very nice for Nidoqueen. Still maintaining Cresselia. In the ones, we're picking up Trevenant, as well as Escav, Cofagrigus, and Deoxys. We do drop Scrafty and Tapu Fini, as well as Powder Snow A9. So a nice side grade, I think, would liven Nidoqueen up a little bit, guys. Let me know what you think how Shadow Claw would be for Nidoqueen. I think it would be much welcomed and something I would like to see. And that about wraps it up. This was a bit of a long one, but I wanted to dive deeper into my rationale for these updates. I hope you guys all enjoyed, and do let me know what you think of some of these updates in the comments. We definitely need something. I wanted to go more along the lines of the Season of Light. I will leave a link to that in the description so that you can see how many updates we actually had with the Season of Light. That was a couple of seasons ago. I wanted to bring that sort of move update to Season 15 of Go Battle League. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. It could have absolutely been a lot more, but that would make this video a lot longer than it already is now. So we can continue the conversation in the comments. Hop in my Discord. Let me know what you think. We can absolutely continue the conversation there. And for now, we'll leave it there. But guys, I had a blast. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, I thank you for watching and keep up the grind. Thank you, guys.